Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Right Guys podcast. Hey, it's Trump World Tour, and we're covering it. And now your hosts, Josh Hammerling and Max McGuire.
Welcome back, another edition of the Right Guys podcast. My name is Max McGuire, here with Mr. Producer Josh Hammerling. Lots to get into. Donald Trump, he's got some energy, man.
Well, let's just compare this to the last administration to compare energy levels. So, by the 100 days in with Biden, he was, he was in the basement for probably half of that. Took a couple vacations. Didn't do much. And we got Donald Trump in 100 days, like starting a tariff war, winning it, having inflation addresses inflation, and then goes on a world tour to the Middle East where it's nothing but business deal after business deal after business deal after business deal. I'm shocked. I've never seen a presidency move like this. He's moving with a swiftness. There's a fire lit under that man's ass.
And he said, I don't know if you caught the Sean Hannity interview he did aboard Air Force One. He said, listen, it always feels good to work really hard and get a lot accomplished, because sometimes you work really hard and you don't get anything accomplished.
Yeah.
With all of these victories. And I don't know if you saw it, but they were trying to make Sleepy Don trend over the weekend.
He finally came out of
this week, because immediately after he flies across the world, he was a little sleepy. I mean, who wouldn't be? I've flown to the Middle East, and it is not fun.
I can imagine.
It is not fun at all. Here is the video they tried to make go viral of him. He's awake. He's just kind of squinting. I mean, the lights are very bright.
Yeah.
These made-for-TV events, very, very bright lights. The irony of all ironies, though, is that while they're trying to make that trend, this is what Debbie Dingell, representative from Michigan, this is what she was doing. Completely out cold.
Well, at least she had some Perrier with her. I mean, she's got good taste, I guess. I mean, if you got to find your sleep where you can find sleep. Apparently, that's on the American taxpayer's dime.
Yeah. No, I mean,
representative.
It was very ironic. They're like, "Oh, Trump's asleep." No, he's not. He's just kind of it picked up. I mean, once they brought the camels, he loved the camels. I don't know if you saw that clip of him talking about the camels, but it picked up a little bit. But yeah, of course, you get right off of a transatlantic, other side of the world flight. You're gonna need to get your sea legs a little bit. But it's just very funny that while they're trying to, because the left's whole thing now is they said this about Biden, so we're going to say it about Trump, right?
It's just not comparable, though.
It's not comparable.
It's not even close, dude. I mean, George Clooney just came out saying that right at as the election was coming off, like he was floored because the president didn't recognize him. They've been friends for 15 years. I mean, how can you compare the two?
He's a world superstar.
Yeah, everybody knows George Clooney. He can't go anywhere. Like, no wonder things turned around so fast there. He was so far gone. And to try to say that Trump, the man is the president of the United States, he probably runs off 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. He may not even sleep some nights.
Yeah.
Because that's Trump. Like, he's busy doing more than just what we see on the surface.
You don't get to sleep on the plane the whole time because you got to still be president. It's still business hours in the U.S. So this is a really managing this is very, very difficult because he has to keep U.S. time because there are things that need his attention in the United States. But he also needs to be wide awake on the other side of the world, 12 hours ahead.
And the lavish, they've received him so well.
You're cutting in and out. Yeah, they absolutely did receive him so well.
McDonald's happy,
which they didn't have to because there are McDonald's in Saudi Arabia, but they brought in one just so they would have it so close that they could make the food and have it hot and fresh. There are other McDonald's. I think the first McDonald's there was in like 90, 93, somewhere around there. But they brought in the mobile one so it could be on site to make the Don his Big Mac, his double quarter pounders,
double
filet of
Diet
fish.
Coke. Heck yeah. And like a large fry to go with that. One of my guilty pleasures is McDonald's. So I get it. I know I go there because, I had it since I was a kid. So it's pretty cool. And then like just the reception he gets, it's full carpet rollouts. It's a true diplomatic response by the countries that he's visiting. And it wasn't the sleepy fist bump stuff that Joe got when he was
Yeah.
over there, right? This was there was signs of respect. There was a mutual respect that had been missing for 4 years. World leaders knew that they weren't actually dealing with Joe Biden. They were dealing with the apparatus behind him. So it's nice to see us out there. And this is us. It's just not Trump. This is America, right? This is the face we're putting out there, right? And it makes us look, it not that we're every week, but it makes us look strong again.
Yeah. So when Biden was there, when Biden went to Saudi Arabia, he was greeted by this man who is basically the governor, basically the mayor of Mecca. He was greeted by a local politician.
Wow.
And their interns. Donald Trump was met by royalty with a full military guard. It's incomparable, as you said. It's incomparable. And they did that for a reason. They understood that, first of all, it was a sign of disrespect for them to treat Biden that way.
Absolutely,
right?
It was. Yeah.
They recognize that. They understand that. And they also understand that Donald Trump knows it, right? So they can't play it off and say, oh, it was COVID or whatever. They know that Donald Trump knows that that was a deliberate, disrespectful move that they did last time. So if they do anything close, it's going to go really poorly.
Yeah. And I also think that time that Zelensky's on with Trump and they got into that argument, Trump's not above just hashing it out right there in front of everybody, even if it is the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. There's no more shit being taken, we'll say, by the Trump administration of the United States with that. But yeah, talk about an insult. Sending a low-level individual, like that alone's the slap in the face.
Yeah.
And then the rollout. They had Tesla Cybertrucks.
Trump loved the camels. They had horses. I don't know if you saw the crown prince and Trump just driving around in a golf cart together.
No, that I'd pay money. Like that's Lou, think about that. If you got it, let's watch that one because that's sick. Could you imagine just being able to hang out with the crown prince of Saudi Arabia?
It was
in a golf cart.
It was like one of those like 3-row golf carts where you can have like a back seat and then like a trunk where you can sit on the back. And it was very funny because you can tell that the people there, other than the crown prince, the Saudis, they're his security. So they're like fumbling with their taubs, their robes. Meanwhile, the Americans are in their suits and they're fumbling with their suits because they all have like Uzis. They have like MP4s or MP7s or whatever they're carrying underneath their jackets. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen it. They have the fake arms. Have you seen that when they go for walks?
And it's like, what do they got that's under there that's so small and yet so dangerous? They got to have a third arm, right? Just sling it off.
They have the third arm so that they can just be holding the gun at like a low ready position under a trench coat. Let me see if I can find the Trump.
That's like immediate response, third-party protection, man. It's like Secret Service protection. But you got two of the world's most powerful men in one of these vehicles, like just hanging out in a golf cart. I'd hate to be the detail following him, right? Because I just like,
So they had this kind of like chanting, and he just hops on a golf cart. The crown prince is personally driving the golf cart, and like Trump's just sitting shotgun, right? Just driving around and showing him things, pointing things out. Showing the architecture. Trump loved the architecture. He loved the marble. I mean, that's something that it's a Trumpian thing to notice, right?
He loves real estate.
And he understands how expensive it is to move that much, what he said in one of the clips, perfecto marble, the perfect marble with no seams, with no veins, how expensive it is to not only find it, but move it and have it not crack. Very, very expensive.
It's cool.
And so he appreciates that, and they're rolling out the red carpet. I enjoyed this one much more than the last one. Do you remember the orb?
Oh yeah, where they're touching it, where the Simpsons even show them, where they're like trying to tap into another dimension or something. Like it was plasma globes.
No one ever really explained what this was all about.
Yeah,
8 years ago. It was good, I guess.
It was a head scratcher.
It wasn't an orb this time.
Right.
With strange faces, everyone making weird faces. It wasn't an orb. It was just the personal touch. And I don't know if you saw it when Trump flew to Qatar. Afterwards, he was escorted Qatari F-16s, F-16s, F-15s,
Yeah.
F-15s. So this was the first time that the president of the United States has been escorted by foreign fighter jets since Ronald Reagan. That's
Which
kind of cool.
it is. I mean, it sends a message to your leaders, right? That we're here on a peaceful mission. We're interested in business.
Yeah. It
right?
also it sends a message to Iran.
Yeah.
The only power that would even dare do anything to Air Force One would be Iran in the region.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that those jets are providing air support, presumably they would take the missile for Air Force One. That's probably what they were ordered to do. The U.S. Air Force wouldn't allow them to do that if they weren't willing to go all out in an emergency.
Yeah.
I wonder what Democrats are going to do, because that was a very expensive gift, Josh, giving close air support,
God. It
escorting
was
in. That was a Qatari gift. So clearly Donald Trump violated the emoluments clause by allowing our ally. They signed like defense partnership paperwork to bolster and grow defensive cooperation. This is obviously a violation of the emoluments. And for everyone listening and watching, I am, of course, referencing the fact that Qatar is giving the United States a luxury airliner because Boeing can't get its act together and finish the new Air Force One. So they're giving us the luxury airliner. They're going to retrofit it to make it Air Force One grade. Trump's going to use it. And then hopefully Boeing gets its act together and the one that we actually paid for gets finished. And the left is freaking out, saying that is an illegal gift.
You know what? I bet you he uses it to fly others around. I mean, he could probably use it as the new Air Force One. We'll see what he does with it, right? But it's just going to go to the library after he's done. If it does get donated anywhere, and it itself will turn into a museum piece. Like, Trump doesn't need the money. He just doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't need the money. And they know it, and they're trying to label him as some sort of like billionaire elitist. This is the first time, like that's like a kingly gift. I know it's a horrible thing to say because we don't serve a king, but the crown prince gave a kingly gift to the United States with that. I mean, another show of support, right? Like, this is how much. Oh no, that was Qatar. That was Qatar, not Saudi Arabia.
Qatar.
I'm sorry, but still, I mean that just shows you the level of cooperation there. I mean, you're getting the big reception. You're getting this plane. Like, that's a lot of respect.
Yeah, it is.
And do you feel like in Middle Eastern countries, that's the sign of that respect?
And you know what they did? He sat down. They pulled out their checkbooks, and they made massive purchases of new Boeing planes and American missiles and American defensive equipment and weapons. Right? This was going over there, and Trump saying, "Okay, spend in America." Them committing to spending billions. I think Saudi Arabia wants $1 trillion of investment in the United States. Obviously, it's not just altruism. It's not just charity. They're looking out for themselves. They know that a strong United States is necessary for a strong Saudi Arabia. But the left and the media are trying to derail all of this by saying, oh, the plane, the gift, the emoluments clause says you cannot accept a gift. So let's just break it down, right? Presidents can accept gifts. They can't personally keep them unless they're willing to pay for the net worth of it, like how much it's worth. So if every president gets foreign gifts from other countries, can't keep them. They can keep like little keepsakes. Like if something's cheap and it's given you, you can keep that. But
like the pen you signed with,
the pen or a commemorative pin or a challenge coin, things like that. They're fine. If someone gives you a book, that's fine. Michelle Obama was gifted, I believe, $1 million of jewelry by a foreign country. And the way it works is she, as first lady, she can wear the jewelry, but it's not hers. It belongs to the presidency. Yeah. Right. So what happens when you leave office is everything that the presidency owns gets transferred to the presidential library. Yeah. Right. Unless it's something that the United States continues to own. If it's owned by your presidency, it goes to your library. Which is why if you actually look at the Barack Hussein Obama, if you look at his library website, it admits point blank. Let me find the spot. Here we go. It's not open yet, but when it does, the artifact collections at the Barack Obama Presidential Library consist of more than 35,000 objects. The collections encompass works of art, cultural artifacts, books, textiles, domestic furnishings, sporting equipment, and other historical materials that represent the era and work of the Obama administration. These materials were predominantly given to the President and First Lady by foreign officials and the general public during the years of the Obama administration. So right here on the page, it acknowledges that foreign governments, foreign officials give the president gifts, and that it's normal for those gifts to go into the library, right?
Yeah.
So then the next question is it normal for Air Force One to go into a library? Well, there's some precedent for it, because if you go to the Ronald Reagan Library right now in California, Air Force One is sitting in the freaking middle of it.
And Donald Trump will do the same thing at that library. Like
it would be like this. It would be turned into a museum piece, talking about probably talking a lot about the United States, about our allies in Qatar and the region, right? It would absolutely be focused on that, because when Donald Trump leaves office, he's not going to have the right to necessarily get the old Air Force One or to get the new Air Force One. No, it's going to be in service for many, many years. But so the precedent is there. And I think this is what frustrates me so much about the left and their attacks on Donald Trump. If you really go down the line, everything they attack him for is normal stuff that other presidents do, and they didn't have a problem with it. Right? It's normal things that are legal, that there's mountains of paperwork proving it's legal, but they argue that it's different because it's Trump. In this case, they argue that it's different because it's a plane, and a plane's expensive. Yeah, a plane's expensive, but the underlying logic of it is the same, right? If they wanted to give him $1 trillion gift, he can't keep it. It stays with the presidency, goes in the library. The dollar amount doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And Trump's comment, he's asking media, what do you expect me to do? You want me to pay for it? That's stupid. Why would I pay for it if they're giving it to me for free?
Yeah. And it's not even going to be, it belongs to they want a headline, Max. They want to be able to, they'll tar and feather him. He could walk out and have the ability to cure sick animals, right? Completely resurrect him, and they'd hate him for it. It doesn't matter. They want that headline to attack the opposite party, because they're bankrupt on ideas on how to win over their base or new voters. And that's what you're seeing here, is that a completely soulless, bankrupt party that just has nothing to run on except no on Donald Trump. What happens when he's out in 4 years? I mean, the strategies hasn't changed.
Josh, you mentioned that no matter what he does, they will oppose him for it. Did you have a chance to watch The View this week?
I'm sorry. Did you ask if I could watch The View?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
As you go blurry just from the steam radiating off of you, or the anger of me even asking that question. Yeah. My wife watches it to laugh at them. And so The View this week, I kid you not, The View this week took the opposite position on Donald Trump's plan to lower drug prices. They actually complained that Donald Trump lowering drug prices is somehow a bad thing. Here's Whoopi.
Again, he didn't specify which drugs he's going to target or which insurance programs would be impacted, because you see, if you're going to lower the price of the drugs, you got to first fix the broken insurance company, because it doesn't make any sense.
You also, I would think that you have to take money out of politics too, because a lot of these guys in Congress, don't they take money from pharmaceutical lobbyists? Yeah, I mean, so if you have money
in other countries too.
But you know, the guy has 153 rooms in the White House. He can't have one mirror to look into. He's always criticizing. This one's not a 10. This one's a 6. This one's fat. What? This one, he said the friend is highly neurotic. Hello, look in the mirror.
What was that?
Imagine hearing a Republican president standing up there with a Democrat Secretary of Health and Human Services and saying, I am rolling out the proposal put forward by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren to stop drug companies from charging the United States more than they charge other countries. That was what Bernie Sanders ran on. That was what Elizabeth Warren ran on, right? Imagine seeing Trump saying that, and you hate the man so very much that you actually come down on the side of it's bad. And, oh, he's fat. He should look in a mirror. Josh, these are broken, damaged, insane people.
It just makes me think that I mean, are they completely brainwashed, or does somebody own them? Because the positions they take change with the wind. Like, I don't even understand that. I mean, the hypocrisy that you just laid out there is just. Uh, and the thing is, they still keep getting ratings. People are still watching. There were people applauding the things they were saying. I don't really understand what Joy Behar was saying. Like, that was a really weird one. Whoopi made ish sense. And that's The View.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
To its finest.
Isn't that funny? Well, they can't help themselves, Josh. They can't help themselves. That's the joke. Donald Trump could cure cancer, and they come down the side of cancer. They literally just did that.
Right. Well, that's why I say the magical ability to cure kittens and puppies. Like, who wouldn't want that? And if Donald Trump was to just somehow magically grow that ability, they'd find ways to say, that he would like to see more puppies dead. He's going to heal a bunch of puppies and they're going to take over the system or something stupid. But again, soulless, no ideas. There's the propaganda machine. Whoopi's a propagandist. So is Joy. Right. They're just towing the line. So who's still pushing the garbage? Because it's not Hogg if they're kicking him out, right? I mean,
that's too funny,
isn't it?
That's too funny.
They're
using the technicality to remove him, that they didn't procedurally make sure there were enough women. First of all, that should be illegal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Discriminating on the basis of sex generally is against the law. Now, a lot of boards and corporate entities have tried to get around that and say, we will only take in black board of directors, things like that. Yeah. That's still discrimination. It's still at the core of it is racial, sexist discrimination. They just think it's okay because it's their preferred form of discrimination. But I mean, listen, that's the same bit as, I don't know if you saw CNN. Do you see CNN actually? Was it CNN? The Afrikaners that came.
There were some people. Wow. You want to talk about a whole firebrand of controversy there. And I mean, they're going after these Afrikaners for coming here because I think they genuinely face some real threats in South Africa. Like, there are people that are being actively murdered there.
100%.
And there's a reason why they're refugees,
100%. So what's happening in South Africa really isn't all that surprising. South Africa has a long history of colonialism. They had apartheid, right? So they had a system where whites were ruling the country and the blacks were a lower class. That ended. You had Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, right? All that movement to get rid of apartheid. And there was a deliberate effort from Nelson Mandela and especially Desmond Tutu to make sure that the country didn't devolve into a civil war. And they wanted to have what they did in Rwanda, peace and reconciliation conferences where you get people side by side, and rather than saying you were mean to us, so we're going to be mean to you, it was hugging it out, crying it out, apologizing so that you can walk forward as a united nation, right? A post-apartheid nation. Well, that was, for lack of a better words, that was like the Martin Luther King plan. What South Africa has gotten since is more of the Malcolm X plan. Which is, no, we're not going to walk side by side, hand in hand. We're not going to cry it out, hug it out. You were bad to us, which is true. So we are going to get our pound of flesh back from you. And one of the things that the new regime in South Africa is doing is they're looking at the generational wealth in South Africa. And they're recognizing that they have an argument that the people who own all of this farmland generationally only own it because the system allowed them to own it, right? Now that is a far cry from the promise of the Truth and Reconciliation, where they would cry it out, hug it out, and move forward as a united people. So what the government's doing is they're basically using eminent domain kind of thing on white farmers and white landowners, not to build a highway or to build a hospital like we would hear, just to take it out of white hands and put it into black hands, because their idea of equity is to right the wrongs from centuries ago, decades ago, and make it so that they never had that generational wealth to begin with. Now, the problem is that when you have generational farmers, they're the ones making your food.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just pluck someone out of the streets in the city and say, go farm our food. It doesn't work that way, right? So they're going to experience a dramatic collapse in their farming if they actually carry through with this threat. But what's even worse is that when the white farmers resist, the cogs of government move slowly.
Yeah.
So they're coming for them, but you know what moves much faster? Mob violence.
Yes.
And so the farmers that are resisting are turning up dead. They're being murdered. They're being beaten by the mobs, who have been convinced, much like people here in the United States, that they, even though they were never slaves, even though they were never victims under apartheid, at least people our age now, they are due reparations. Just like black people here are told, even though you were never slaves and we were never slave owners, you are somehow owed reparations for a trauma you did not personally experience. So the left is saying that it's not real. They're saying, oh, of course, South Africa is a dangerous place. But that's not the issue. The issue is that the Afrikaners who resist this wealth transfer are winding up dead. It doesn't matter that they have a high violent crime rate in the urban cities. We are talking about crimes in rural areas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, sometimes you want to escape. And then the social media just blows up with this. I mean, there's these two sides that seem to be going after each other like rabid dogs, and it bleeds over into the country they're escaping. So there's Americans who have never been in Africa, but they are African American, supporting the genocide to some degree. And I was shocked by this, right? That people out there would support this. And to have these avenues in social media and to watch that play out really shocks me on it. Because, I strive for a world where race it's just not a thing. We're all Americans is the day I strive for, right? After that, you're all earthlings if you want to be, but we're all Americans, or we're all one people. So I don't know, dude, like, people say the craziest things on social media. The amount of racism that starts popping up from it was just it's shocking.
Yeah. Let's look at the newspaper that they had in South Africa today.
Johannesburg. Now, there was political leaders calling for the deaths of whites in meetings, I thought.
No, they had like big rallies, and I forget the words, like BOER. They're slang for the white man, the Afrikaners. They were basically saying, just like BLM movements had death to pigs in the blanket, frying like bacon. It was that kind of, but it's looking at your supposed fellow citizen that, again, Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, promise of reconciliation. Let's walk together hand in hand and build a country where we can work together. That is a far cry from what you're seeing now. And this is the headline. These are the headlines from the newspaper in South Africa today. Let me find this. Where is it?
It would be really tough to live there, man. My gosh.
Jobless rate increases to 32.9%.
Whoa. Wow.
High stakes gamble. They have the Afrikaners coming to the United States, and they have jobless rates 32.9%, and then South Africa trying to craft a trade package to repair relations with the United States after Elon Musk basically whispered in Trump's ear all the bad stuff that's happening over there, and Trump brought them over.
So I have some of this exchange of land. Like, what's happened to the food supply? Is the water, like, is there still corn being grown? Is there still wheat making its way out? because that's one of the reasons you want to get rid of the people that grow your food. Because if you don't have people growing food, you're gonna get hungry, or you're gonna have to figure out how to do it yourself. And I mean, did they ever put money into like getting farm equipment or like seeds?
Food pricing in South Africa is rising. It's out of control.
You're kidding.
Eggs in South Africa are up 35%.
Oh,
yeah. The 28 item food basket, urban food basket, the way they do a basket, they look at certain items that the average family needs, compared to 2024 to today, is up 8% in South Africa.
Yeah, and it's probably
as a whole
going to keep heading that way, and it may start to escalate as food becomes more scarce. And that's the trade-off, right? It's
and it's like everyone hates, like, this is also the case like here in the United States. Townships want to build more land, the farmers don't want them, they try and get the farmers to sell. People don't understand that you need generational wealth and you need generational expertise to farm, to grow food. I remember I tried just growing pepper plants in my house and they freaking died. But like the way that how much fertilizer costs, how much seed costs.
Oh my gosh.
You can't just plop you can't just plop someone down in that and expect them to run the farm, knowing when to harvest, knowing when the rainy seasons are and when's a good time. If you're harvesting grain, you need to know the moisture meter and how much moisture is in the grain, because if you harvest it when it's too wet, it's worthless. If you harvest when it's too dry, it's dead, right? See, finding that sweet spot, you can't just take someone off the street and say, you're a farmer now. And the government, they can claim to be experts in these things, but the government is an expert in nothing, especially not this. So no, I expect to see domestic food as they keep rolling this out of taking farmland from people. You're going to see food prices continue to go up, and that's just going to hurt.
Yeah. And you don't talk about the societal pressures that'll start showing up. I mean, and you don't want to be too critical of African nations, but there's a history of devolving into warlordism in parts of it. And, there's so much on the horizon for them that is going to be just bad for them down the road, I think. And they've been
jobless rate. A hair lower than 33%. It's a hair below 1/3. 1 in every 3 adults doesn't have a job. So when you have that kind of helplessness, you can succumb to the same kind of fear mongering, the hate-filled messages that we've seen throughout history. Right? There's no Adolf Hitler in Germany without the interwar period in between World War I and World War II, where the Allies decided to destroy Germany's economy. Right? If they didn't do that, there is no Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler rise to power and says, look, you can't feed your family. Guess who did it? The Jews did it. Ridiculous. But people believed it. People believed it because they had nothing else to believe in. You get to a situation like this and you see the government saying, oh, the white farmers, the white men, they are the source of all of your problems.
We've seen this before. We've seen this movie before.
And there's a reason the left and the media are saying that these aren't real bona fide asylum seekers. They absolutely are. They might actually be one of the only true asylum seekers. Because to seek asylum, I talk about this in my book, but to seek asylum, you have to have a credible fear that you will be persecuted for who you are. Be persecuted for who you are. Not just that you go home and there's gang violence. There's gang violence everywhere. It's that if you go home and you get off the flight and people with power see your name on the manifest, you'll be dead in a day. Because of who you are, because of what you represent, because of what you advocate. The average Central American peasant has absolutely nothing to fear at home. Even the average Venezuelan has nothing. Oh, they have a lot to fear from their government, but their government isn't going after the average Venezuelan poor person. They're economic migrants, which from their vantage point is completely legitimate, but it's not asylum. Saying I'd rather live here because I can make more money is not the same as I am fleeing for my life. If you send me back, I will be killed for who I am.
And they've done social displays where they put on social media. They show the number of crosses for the number of farmers that have been killed in this. There's a lot of people that have died in this gang. So it's really, really sad. You said something about Nazis before, and I just have to bring this up because I've been disgusted by it. Have you heard Kanye's song? Kyle, that do you know what I'm talking about, right? It's stupidest effing thing I've heard.
I hate that it's a little catchy. I'm not gonna sing it.
It's got a hook.
I'm not gonna sing it. I'm not gonna listen to it.
I'm not.
But no one can argue that Kanye West isn't still an excellent musician, producer.
The most counterculture person you have ever seen in your life. And I've watched the music video, and the guys that are have you seen the video?
Who took that money to sit in the warehouse and shout Heil Hitler? That's insane,
dude. It's
crazy.
I don't even know what to say. Like, is he out of his rocker, or is he the greatest artist ever? Like, in his mind, right? He's like, I can make a song about Nazis and people will like it. And then you look at bars in South Korea, and they're singing the song out loud because it's a catchy ass tune. And what are they all chanting?
Yeah.
It's just it's appalling.
It's really stupid. It's really stupid. It's really stupid.
You know how much money he's going to make off that stupid shit too?
Yeah, well, everyone's banning it, blocking it from being played.
That doesn't get played on the radio. They
won't play on they won't play on the radio. They won't put it in stores, right? So the real question is, how is he going to make the money?
Online. And people listening, and on social media it's being played by people. I wonder if it's been I haven't seen it in a while, so I wonder if they're starting to even kind of shadow ban that. It's crazy. And is it an exercise in free speech?
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing, right? You have there's no hate speech exception for free speech. He has the right to say whatever he wants to say. Every other part of the music industry and and Hollywood also has the right to not give him a platform.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I don't know how he sells this music if streaming won't do it, if actual CDs. I guess he could burn his own CDs and go out on the street.
Direct download from a website.
Yeah, direct download
from download. Yeah.
Shopify dropped them, right? So who's going to process it? You know what I mean? So there's lots of this is far even for my understanding of what he was going. But listen, you read the lyrics. This is a very troubled person, obviously very troubled. Obviously, someone who was Jewish did something very wrong, or at least in his eyes, did something very wrong, did him dirty for some reason. But you read the lyrics like, "Oh, you're gonna take my kids from me. You're gonna take everything."
It sounds like
for me.
It's a rant.
You know what? You're gonna take my kids from me. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna shout this.
Yeah.
Very disturbing. But you can also not empathize with it, but you can see how someone could feel so broken that they think the only way to have a voice again and get out there is to say something like this. It's insane. But again, it's stupid that it's catching.
Do you think being married to a Kardashian broke him? Do you think that's what it was?
Could be.
You know what I mean? Like, he had enough. It was weird. My light fell.
Even
as they said Kardashian's name.
Even the lyric websites that post the lyrics are taking it down.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, like, this is what is he doing? Like, it's a rant against, it sounds like, his ex-wife, and he made a song just to do it. Like, I can do this and you can't stop me. Like a kid with all the power in the world. Like, I'm going to make a song about. It's unbelievable.
He paid for a Super Bowl commercial, driving people to his website, and when they got there, the only thing he was selling was a swastika T-shirt.
I don't even know what to say.
Like, this is FU money. This is FU money.
I don't even know what to say to that, man. Like, really? He did that?
Yeah. Yeah. That was the beginning of this decline.
I don't even know what to say to that. Like, Kanye, dude, that cat. He's I don't even know what to say. Something else. I think he's eccentric.
Man, these people took my kids from me. Then they post my bank account. I got so much anger in me. Got no way to take it out. Think I'm stuck in the Matrix. Where the fuck's my nitrous?
Oxide? Like,
yeah.
What was he laughing? Yes. Hey man, he has posted stuff that it has deep esoteric meaning in some of his other videos. Like there's one where he's got like the sword of Damocles above him as he's singing no heaven in the west or something like that. It was a wild song. The guy has had some really strange looking stuff in a lot of his videos, and
yeah,
this is in the same vein. He had black men yelling high whatever in a dressed in like
African tribal. It's very weird,
dude. What's up? Did we need that?
I don't get it. We didn't.
We need
but
that.
We got it.
But we got it. You know, there was a point
where
where Trump was being visited by Kanye. Let us not forget that there was a moment where people thought he was normal, and I think we said, "Watch out, he's still kind of crazy." You just never know what you're getting with a Kanye, right? So,
yeah. No, I mean, but it's weird. It's weird how this is just like, I don't know. Did you see the thing with the Barstool Sports Bar last week? That they have shot girls and who do table service and bottle service, and you can pay, and they'll come out with like a sign that they hold over their head with like sparklers, and they'll put little letters on it, like an old marquee from a movie theater. They come out with a mini marquee, and you can have it say whatever you want. Someone paid for it to say F the Jews. And this guy, who was himself anti-Semitic based on his own behaviors, videotaped it, giggling, trying to get people's reaction to it. So that happened in Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy's bar. Dave Portnoy's Jewish.
Yeah.
He flipped out, fired the waitresses who did it, and started going on a crusade to go after the college kids who paid for it and videotaped it. Decide, hey, you know what? Let's make this a learning experience. My dime, I'm sending you to Auschwitz for a weekend. Go and learn about the Holocaust. Maybe open your eyes. And basically now they've lawyered up, and they're like, screw that. I'm not going to Auschwitz. This is cancel culture. And now this it sounds like he's a Muslim kid making the rounds on like anti-Semitic talk shows, like Stu Peters, like those kinds of things. It was someone. It was one of them. What's up?
All that negativity still brings him fame. That's what bugs me about it, right? Is because what if would that monetize anywhere? I mean, just being on the circuit.
He put a GoFundMe up. He put his crypto wallet up, and the disclaimer says this money will be used for any and all purposes. So they're saying we're exploring legal fights. Like, what's the lawsuit? You went into a bar, either paid for it or videotaped it to share it. You damaged the bar's reputation, and now he claims that he is a citizen journalist.
Oh my God.
That's how you know it's bad. But also simultaneously claims that he's not a public figure, so Dave can't criticize him. But being a private journalist, he's putting things out there into the public discourse, right? Yeah, that's the whole purpose of a citizen journalist. Yeah. He can't then cower and cry foul when the public discusses, right?
I know.
And the public then says you're bad, right? You can't have it both ways.
And, you know, as a private business, you can say, I don't want that here. You know, it's not discriminating against you as whoever you are. It's the position, or at least the hatred. I don't know, man. So many lawyers get involved, and then somebody's going to try to settle with them, right? All because he offered to send them to Auschwitz. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah. People lost their job.
But I mean, that's the thing, and there's a whole, like, objectively, that sign is a bad thing to put up anywhere, right? And he's not saying, well, it's actually about Zionism. Well, which is it? Are you a citizen journalist, or do you have some inside baseball knowledge on why the sign was put up? You can't have it both ways, right? He said he had nothing to do with the sign, doesn't even know who did it, but then also said it was an edgy joke. You can't have it both ways. You can't say you don't know what's going on and also claimed to know it wasn't serious.
Probably just an attempt to take some of his money. You know what, man? Let's cut me $100,000 check, and my lawyer fees will call it a day.
That will not happen.
Not with Portnoy. No, he would spend.
No.
He'd spend $5 million on a lawyer to make that.
He'll burn the money before he gives it to him.
Right. He probably makes a showing of it too. Here's your money, and he lights it on fire.
Yeah.
Because he's got that kind of money. I mean, Portnoy's got.
But like that's also the part of this that's so crazy, right? We're talking about South Africa, how it's the us versus them. Here, it's they're the problem, they're the problem, they're the problem, they're the problem. We're ripping each other apart, not me and you, but as a society, right? Yeah. We are as fractured as ever, and I'm not just saying left and right. There are many fractures running through this. I don't know if you saw it, but one of the things that was going viral this week on X was the word black fatigue.
I was wondering where that was showing. I saw that popping up a bunch of places. I'm like, what is this? What's going on? People
tired of the Black Lives Matter, the DEI, the nonsense, right? Tired of going on a cruise and they're just being a brawl, right? Like that fatigue, and say, okay, come on, let's just stop. Let's just everyone calm down. It's the Black Lives Matter pendulum is now swinging back in the other direction. You don't want to get the radicalism of the other side, right? No. But the pendulum is swinging, and people are getting tired of it. I mean, Josh, there was just a case. I was listening to it. It was whether or not a first grader broke the law when they taught him Black Lives Matter in class, and he said all lives matter. They punished him for saying a first grader punished a first grader for saying all lives matter in class, and actually took it up to the appellate level, saying that the first grader has no right to say all lives matter.
Holy shit.
Sorry. That, like, looking at that and saying, like, that's not black fatigue, that's woke fatigue, whatever you want to call it. It's just fatigue. Like, this is getting to be too much. How do we just stop this?
Wow.
Let me see if I can find that.
Holy crap. Well, I saw it coming up and stuff, and I'm like, what? Why is this? Where's this coming out of? And wow. Do you remember the first time we really ever did kind of a podcast of any kind anywhere? We had we did a talk on factions, right? It was like one of the very first things that we talked about. And we were like, listen, there is an effort to go out there and make so many groups at each other's throats for this imaginary zero-sum pie that they're willing to pit you against each other for an imaginary thing.
This is what the government's attorney said in the case, in the oral arguments. We are not dealing with first graders who are engaged in discussions in the marketplace of ideas. First graders are supposed to be learning to tie their shoes. They're supposed to be learning, and the judge steps in. Then don't give a Black Lives Matter course to a first grader. Maybe you teach tying shoes.
Wow. Doesn't sound like it was going well for him there.
Yeah, like because it's a perfect interjection. They're saying, oh, he doesn't have the wherewithal, the knowledge, the life experience to understand what he's saying. Then don't teach it to him. Right? Don't teach it if you don't like the fact that he's going to disagree with it. It's not even a disagree with it. He's like, yes, and right? Because it was a disagreement. Black Lives Matter. Yes, every life matters.
Yeah.
Any life matters.
Yes.
And it's actually now being taken to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Unbelievable. Unreal. This is where we're at, man. Like, it's the war of words at its finest. It's propaganda at its finest. It's twisting the First Amendment.
Yeah.
There's just too much behind it. It always feels like there's a guiding hand. Every time you start laying the cases out for some of this stuff, it's like, I feel like there's this evil doer just sitting there wringing his hands and pushing buttons on a computer, causing the world to go crazy. And it's being slowly manipulated by someone. And I don't know. It just feels so dark when this stuff comes out.
It does. It does. And then you see Trump dancing the YMCA in Saudi Arabia, which is wild.
I know.
It wasn't like a dance, but he was shimmying a little bit. The gay anthem playing on stage in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, is crazy. Everyone clapping along to it. Right. Everyone clapping along to it in their keffiyehs and their tabs and everything.
Who's the guy that did whatever? The dictator? Remember, he was the actor, Sacha Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen,
yeah. Yeah.
Everyone will clap it. Everyone will dance.
Yeah. It was a moment. It was a moment like that. Not gonna lie. Listen, he's going around. He's making peace. He's slashing drug prices. The man is a workhorse. And again, just to circle back to the beginning, The View was upset about drug prices being lowered. That's how you know we have irreparable differences in this country. When he comes out and literally rolls out Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren's plan. And The View has something negative to say about it. That's a divide that I used to think we could. I think it's irreparable. I think it is.
And imagine that you're a generation that has had nothing but anti-Trump propaganda for 12 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No wonder these people have derangement syndrome. All they know is a news cycle that told them that this guy's some sort of Nazi dictator. Yeah. And they've called him a Nazi, man. And he was shot for it by a leftist. He was shot.
It reminds me of a Key and Peele sketch. We're not going to play it because we always get copyrighted. Yeah, there's a Key and Peele sketch where he's Obama in a room full of Republican congressmen and senators, and it's all reverse psychology. He realizes, the Obama character realizes they're against everything. So he says, I am actually for lower taxes for the wealthy. And the Republicans say, no, we disagree. And he says, oh, look at that. 1-0, you're beating me. Higher taxes for the wealthy. And the Republicans start celebrating, and then it dawns on them, like, I am for secure borders.
I am not.
We disagree.
Wait a minute.
It really is like that.
But we did get that for real. Trump. We got that for real when they tried to sell the pieces of the wall off.
Yeah.
It's not a movie anymore. It's it's already happened.
Yeah.
It's already happened. Oh, and recently, just the judge was just like, "Yeah, you can deport him with the Aliens Act." Yep.
But you have to give them hearings, which again defeats the entire purpose. An invading army doesn't get due process. Right? I mean, that's the crazy part of it.
You kick him out.
Yeah, the invading army, in between ransacking stores, raping and pillaging our villages, our towns, our cities, they got a lawyer and they have a hearing.
Did you ever think that Weekend at Bernie's would be real? Did you ever think that, Wag the Dog would be real with Joe Biden? I mean, did you ever think that in our lives there would be Democrats that gave up entire giant military bases in Afghanistan, and everyone at home called it okay? It was a controlled withdrawal, right? All the news cycles, whatever Joe Biden did, he could do no wrong. You get to Donald Trump, he can do no right. I mean, and it's apparent to people. It's why so many people left the Democrat Party. It's why so many people fled California. It's why Hollywood is dying. Right? That liberal nonsense. And it's everywhere. And it's getting worse here. Like I don't even know what happened to Colorado. Like
do you see? I saw some news yesterday. I saw some news yesterday that Denver's mayor, his staff have started using Signal to communicate and have set it up to auto delete their communications related to immigration so that Trump and the government can't catch them aiding and abetting illegal immigration. Have you seen that? That was in the news just yesterday.
Well, that they're violation of a law in itself?
Public records laws, yeah. Clear, flagrant violation of public record laws. No, Democrats aren't sending their best. They aren't sending their best at all. Who's the Indian congressman who's trying to impeach Trump?
You know I know who you're talking about. Yeah, and he laid out this message as to why he should do it.
An empty.
I know. There's no one there.
Hall. Sri Thanadar. Sri Thanadar. He got cornered in his district, and he's so focused on impeachment, he doesn't even know what towns are in his district.
What are the 5 Grosse Pointe cities?
Well, look, I'm not here to answer a quiz. I'm here to say that I'm going to fight for the people of Detroit. I'm going to fight for my constituents.
And Grosse Pointe
and all of the Grosse
Taylor.
Points and all of Taylor and every part of the 13th district.
I'm just do this real quick. Grosse Pointe Park, Grosse Pointe Woods, Grosse Pointe Farms, and Grosse Pointe Shores. Okay.
That's right.
You know, on your campaign filings, it says occupation. Yours says United States government. Aren't you employed by the people of the United States?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, you fix that one. Okay, and finally, you're getting nailed with this one. The beagles. You abandoned the beagles, left them to die in their cages at your pharmaceutical
I love
testing.
animals. See, look,
Yeah, it's true. He ran pharmaceutical test sites, and they closed down the test sites and left the test beagles to die, just to, I guess, starve to death, become dehydrated, and just die in the cages in the facility. Yeah, no, he's an evil dude.
He's a Democrat in Detroit, gang. So less of these. Like, figure out who you're voting for, right? And the propaganda machine that probably fed him money in those districts, man. You know what I mean? All that dirty money. The Act Blue money is getting crazy. I mean, you were calling it out years ago, but it's disturbing how much Act Blue is acting like the endless pocket donor that the Democrats always complained about. It's
Listen, he doesn't even know what he represents. He doesn't even know what his district is. Listen, some of these districts can be drawn a little bit weird, but he should still have an understanding. If you're going to run for a district, you have to know. He says he represents the people of Detroit, and this guy's, well, what about all these 6 other cities, 6 other towns? He's like, oh, well, I'm not here for questions. I'm not here for a quiz.
No, not here for the quiz. Like he was a good dodge. Like he had decent talking skills, but when he got hit with the beagle, he was like, well,
his pharmaceutical test company got put into receivership, and they shut down the animal test facility, and 118 dogs and 55 monkeys were left to die and had to be rescued by nonprofits, ASPCA, things like that. Yeah.
Anybody that killed a puppy like that would.
I mean, it's bad enough they're doing the testing on it. Like,
I know. Dogs are
the guy. That's
dogs
the guy.
are good.
I know. This is the guy. This is the left. This is who they're not.
The left. This is Democrats.
They're not
right?
sending their best. They're not sending their best.
Well, then why are they getting elected?
Notice that no one's rallying to him. First term, it slowly grew with the impeachment. This guy's out there alone. No one wants to board the crazy train, because how do you impeach the guy who is lowering drug prices? How do you impeach the guy who is, you see, inflation's down?
I know.
Inflation is like non-existent, and the media is really struggling to cover it. I think inflation grew 0.2% last month, which is basically nothing.
If Joe Biden had a non-inflation moment like this, there would be parades, ticker tape parades in Washington, D.C. You would hear it on every news station, every radio, every social media outlet. Joe Biden, zero inflation. This is Bidenomics, baby, right? That's what we would hear. And I got one alert on something from Microsoft, right? And it's like, it says 0% inflation. And it just goes away. And I can't find the story. So they gave me the headline. And I click on it, takes me to something else.
Let's cover
I don't
this
think they
before
like
we
it.
leave. Let's cover this. This is how CNN covered the fact that egg prices are and have been coming down. Here we go. This is CNN's headline, quote, Trump's egg price fiction has suddenly become reality.
What a dick.
For months, Donald Trump has falsely claimed that egg prices are tumbling. It wasn't true then, but it is true now.
Okay. Well, cool. Keep going. What do you say to that? Like, wasn't he telling the truth though? Or he's prophetic?
He was telling the truth. I'm going to try and get to the
But they hate his guts so much, they're going to spin a headline like that out. They're still going to make you hate him for lowering prices.
Yeah.
His fiction becomes reality. Like,
Yeah.
that's the headline they're looking for. What fiction? What Trump fiction is becoming a reality? Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah. It's the the really funny thing is that, like, so this is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They released the average price data. And so you can see when Donald Trump took office right around here, right on the left side of that peak. And when it went up and hit the peak, they blamed him.
Yeah.
And when it came down from the peak, CNN just said it wasn't true. But now it's true.
Yeah.
You see, we've gone all the way down here, just to be clear. All of this wasn't happening, but we're here miraculously.
Like, it just wasn't. Yeah, okay. Well, kudos to Trump. Like,
yeah.
So far, the gambles have been paying off, and I'm seeing a lot of investment. I really want that national endowment investment.
That'd be
sort of fun. I think I really do think this whole debt, and because we're a nation of debt, everybody has debt, mortgages, or relate with death for a reason. Like, let's create an American endowment. So, it'd be nice to get checks for just existing as a country.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I don't like it.
Why not? Why not? I mean, I'd love to have
that'll have to be another episode. But right, I am very skeptical about that. If you like the show, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share. We're on YouTube, we're on Rumble. So check us out there. We also have the audio edition of the podcast available everywhere audio podcasts are found. That's it for this edition. My name is Max McGuire.
And I am Josh Hammer.
Remember, the fight to take back our country is not over yet, but the only way we win is if we all stand up and fight together. See you next time.